Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Cryptids, Creeps, and Conspiracy. The following content may involve explicit language and materials, so listener discretion is advised. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we have John from Dairyland Frights Podcast. And I just want to give you a second, John, to let everybody know what it is you do, maybe why you do it, pretty much a little advertising for Frizzle. So take it away.
Sweet. I will take it away. Thank you, Natasha. By the way, I had Natasha on my show, which will be coming out soon. We had a great time. She scared me, by the way, with one of her stories. So that's a little teaser for you guys. A little tease. I love teasing people. Dairyland Frights is really simple. What I love about all these podcasts, we're all a little bit different. So Dairyland Frights pretty much is focused on the Midwest for the most part, because I think the Midwest is forgotten about. Now, Natasha and I are from the Midwest, so we're like, okay, yeah, we don't get the love of the East Coast, West Coast, and everything. We get that. So we've tried to focus on that, but we also try to have a variety of guests, which I'm really excited. If you go back and listen to some of the episodes, I've had a practicing witch on. I've had a practicing Satanist. I've had alien abductees. I've had people who are mediums. I've had numerous paranormal investigators. I've had great guests like a Natasha who would scare the crap out of me with some of their stories. And one thing I will never get over the way people, Natasha and I talked on Dairyland Frights, is the way people who are in haunted houses, including Natasha, who talk about it nonchalantly. No, it's the ghost. They're screwing with me. They're hiding my keys. They're hiding my whatever, your lunch. I don't know what else they're hiding.
Funny thing real fast that you mentioned that, because I came in here today and generally I like to set my sensors. For those of you who are on the Patreon feed, if not, go freaking check it out because that's where you get all my videos. Right here, where my little finger's pointing, is a cat ball sensor. Right here is a cat ball sensor. And down at the bottom, I might have to move my mic. There we go. Down at the bottom here is another one by the Fresno. And I came in to set them all up because I always am like, okay, feel free to interact. If you want to let us know that you're here, just hit the ball and we can go from there. And it seems like every other time I come out here, one of my cat balls is like moved. It's just in some random place. I'm like, come on, guys. I'm like, can you stop doing that? It hid my remote from me one time for my lights. So I couldn't turn my lights off. Yeah.
That to me is really amazing that you still keep it as whatever. I would just be like, we're out, we're gone, we're seeing you. Although, oh, go ahead.
I went one time because I couldn't find the thing to turn the lights off. And I looked everywhere. I was out here for an hour almost just looking for a freaking remote. And it's like the size of a TV remote. It's not like a small one. It's a TV size remote. I'm like, where the hell is it? And I finally just threw up my hands and I was like, all right, listen, guys. I know you took it. I know you took it. I was like, real funny. Joke's on me. You got me. I was like, but I'm going to walk on out of here. I was like, and you guys have about an hour and you better put that remote back where I can find it or you're in trouble. And I went back inside. I watched an episode of something on TV and I came back out, and directly underneath my chair, like where the pole comes out to the wheels, it was just sitting right there where it was like, okay, here you go. And I was like, thank you. Now, please don't mess with the light remote.
It's just crazy. And then where people have talked about, I give a shout out to Courtney. She's from Haunts. She's also on Studio Sinister podcast. And she said at her house she's had one of those bottle openers that's a magnet on your refrigerator if you have that sometimes.
Opener thingies? Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you have a magnet and you stick it on your refrigerator. She's had that thrown at her husband and herself. Like it literally, yeah. It was like, where's my beer?
Definitely a man. That's definitely a man. Go give me a beer.
Give me a beer. And she's, yeah. I'd be like, all right, hold on. However, one thing I've said on many of my past episodes, just to refresh everyone's memory is a few years ago, I almost bought the Amityville Horror House. Almost bought it. And just really quickly, when I saw it for sale, it was fairly reasonable. It's a beautiful house, by the way. And I'm like, I got to do this. This is a once in a lifetime thing. I saw it. actually talked to the realtor, not to bum everyone out, but I'm sorry, it is not haunted. There
That
is nothing. It's all bullshit.
bullshit. Yep.
I've been a realtor for over 30 years, which I'm trying to get out. Yeah.
Throwing the flag, throwing the flag on the play.
She's been a realtor for, she knew the DeFeos. They're a bunch of nut bar drug crazed people, just terrible people. She said ties to the mafia. She
Oh
said
crap.
DeFeo was a total beyond a dickhead and a douchebag. But it was funny. I was going to fly out there, view the house, look at it at the very least, right?
Yeah. Why not?
And yeah, why not? Right? Won't hurt. And she kept on saying to you, she kept on going, sweetie, do you want people showing up on your yard at 3 a.m, trying to get in your house? Do you want to be calling the cops all the time? Do you want people to be taking pictures of your house and telling bullshit about it? And trying to interview you, and paranormal investigators trying to get you, like,
Yes.
she was like, "You may think you want it. Trust me, you don't want it." That's why people are continuing to move. Like she says, everyone thinks, "Oh, it's the demon and stuff." She goes, "No, it's not." And the house is a handful. It's a big house, as a boathouse. It's really a handful to take care of. It's got hardwood floors throughout. So
Woo.
you can imagine the work you got to do to it just to keep it up to look
Yeah.
nice. And she's going, she kept on saying, honey, I don't want to disappoint you, but it's not haunted. It just
Okay.
isn't.
Woman, you are not good at sales. Okay. So all I'm saying is I'd be like, yo, John, come check out this. Like, we already know the background. You're going to have free publicity for your podcast. You're going to be on interviews. You're going to be on TV. And did I mention, look at this beautiful hall and the staircase. Think of the Halloween parties you could have or the
Yeah.
tours you could make
Right?
money on. Look at all the money potentially here. With all the money
Yeah.
from the tourism coming in, you could pay someone to take care of the house.
Yeah. But here's so right. You're absolutely right, Natasha. You sold me on that house. But here's the thing. She goes, do you want a real haunted house? Because I know where some real ones are that actually
Oh.
have ghosts and demons, and you want to, and I'm like, hell yeah. And then of course the wife and the kids are like, no, we're not moving. It's in New York. So it's in
yeah.
Amityville, New York, near, I think it's like an hour away from the city. And once I started looking into it, I was like, damn, that's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
And kind of
That's
like, yeah. Well, but to your point, I didn't think about that. You could be like, I'm doing podcasts from the Amityville house and blah, 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 blah,
I mean,
blah.
think of the live feeds you could do, the
Mhm.
cameras you could set up in your own home.
We're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on the socials, on Patreon, where you can become a Parascotty and
Ooh.
join, and where you can listen to different, like I just put an EVP on there from the Sally House. The episode comes out today, which is a really wacky, I don't know what to make out of it, to be honest with you, Natasha. And also, I only put the videos on there. So if you want to see my smiling face along with
Yeah.
the smiling face of our guest, you got to join Patreon. And I appreciate it too, because Natasha and I, we know we're not become rich after this, of doing Patreon, but it helps us, pay some bills, make
Yeah.
the podcast better. So
Newsflash, podcasting is not free. You've got, let's see here,
hosting fees.
software.
Yeah,
So you got the
yeah.
software. If you have any merch, you got to do that. You got to pay to have your website, all of that
Yep.
stuff. I do everything myself, and I still try to cut costs. And you still got to pay for stuff. You got to get the domain name. You got to do that. Then you have events to go to. You got to pay for your equipment.
Yes.
So y'all, this is not something that we just do for shits and giggles. Like we actually, to be fair, but yes, definitely go check him out, subscribe, do all of that stuff. And I know we had a little snafu, which to be fair, it doesn't happen to me sometimes. There's just something with me that just causes problems with anything electronic. So I will probably have you email the links to me, and I'll put those in the description for everybody so they can find you easily. So if you guys are listening, wherever you're listening, just check the description too, and you should be able to find him that way.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. All right. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
I was stalking you for a little bit.
Nice.
And
That's
y'all
what
can't-
you last night.
yeah, I've got my little my hand binoculars out, guys, and I'm looking. So a little peeping Tom.
Sweet.
And I saw you do an episode about dreams.
Yes.
And I was super excited because I was also looking for a guest to talk about dreams.
Nice.
I have a little bit of information here just about dreams in general. So it's just some background, some people's theories, that kind of thing. I know that I talked to you about some of my dreams on your show, but I
Yes.
don't think I've really talked about it much on my show. So I want
Okay.
to go into those and then get, if you've got any experiences or anything like that, we can just hash it out. So a lot of people, as you well know, just consider that dreams are basically just your subconscious trying to communicate with you, right?
Yeah.
Either you have a problem going on or a problem that you don't realize that you've been suppressing, who knows? And it's just trying to get your attention.
Mm.
This is a good example I like to put out there. If you grew up in maybe a violent household or something, and you get
Mhm.
out of that, obviously, you grow up, you get out of the house, you do all that, but then maybe you find yourself in a relationship that kind of is starting to mimic something that you grew up around. You might
Mm.
not actively realize it, but your brain is going to start sending out these like caution signals to remind you of, hey, this feeling, you felt this before. Here's how you felt it. You might not remember, but it's trying to hold triggers to be like, go away, get out of it, get out of it. And I feel like that is partially true in some sense. There are, however, way back in the day of
Mm.
ancient Greeks and Romans that believe that dreams are actually both equal parts foresight of future events and visitations from the dead. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yes. So what's really interesting about that's very common in cultures and everything. So one of the things that I want to share I thought was really interesting. So my mom died about 4 years ago. My mom and I were very close. She was a single mom. She was independent. She
Yep.
was like, she's one of those kick ass. After she died, what was really interesting, I'd have dreams about her, but she wouldn't talk to me. We'd have a dream where we'd just be like in the, because my mom would come over and visit us. We just talk about various things and she wouldn't talk to me. So I went to a therapist for some other things to deal with. And I was talking to my therapist and she said, okay, that's you basically repressing things you wanted to say to your mom. What did you not say something to your mom before she passed? Because when my mom had really bad Alzheimer's before she passed, so she
Oh,
was
yeah.
like seeing crazy. She couldn't even recognize
Yeah.
me near the end, Natasha. Anyway, so she was like, did you in that time, what were you talking to your mom about? And I said, to be honest, I was just to be like, Mom, you can't go home. You're here. We're gonna be
Yeah.
fine. I'm your son, blah, 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 blah. And my mom would just straight look at me. So one of her things was maybe you didn't have the opportunity to have the conversations you used to have with her, like about life and your family and politics and religion and all this crazy stuff you talk about. You didn't have the opportunity to talk to her like that. So that's why she's not talking to you and you're talking to her. And I was like, huh, interesting.
That's not how I
Okay,
would
so
look
how
at
would
it.
you look at it?
I've had the similar experience. So I was very close to my grandmother
Okay.
and we were very similar. Everybody would be like, oh my gosh, anybody who knew her, if they met me, they're like, you are exactly like her. And I was named after her.
Yeah.
And so she used to call me her Minnie because her name was Minnie. And yeah, it was really
Love
fun.
it.
And if I had issues, I wouldn't even go to my parents or anything like that. Like if I needed help or I wanted advice or I just wanted to feel better, I would go talk to her.
Hmm.
And it's probably been maybe 6 years or so. And she died of a stroke. And she was a Billy badass too. This woman, she got breast cancer. She got it removed, went into remission. It
Mm,
came back. She lost the other breast. It went into remission. She's had every
mm,
type of skin cancer known to man multiple
good.
times, had to have it cut out,
Wow.
all this stuff, did the chemo, did all that stuff. And then
Yeah.
she died of a stroke. And I was like,
Mm.
good going, grandma. Way to go.
Yeah.
But I had a couple, and one of them, it was I just went to sleep. And when I was dreaming, she was just sitting on my bed, just next to me. And she's a talker, so I get it. And, but
Nice.
she didn't really say anything. She just sat there and just put her hand on me. And I was
Mhm,
going through some very just stressful stuff. I didn't feel like I had anybody that I could talk to about it just
mhm,
because nobody really got it. But with her, she
mm.
never judged anything. She was just, and she told you how it was. That's just how she always had been.
Nice.
But she didn't say anything. It was literally just having her there to be like, I'm here was so soothing to me that it calmed me down, even though I never had to say a word. It had nothing to do with anything we ever talked about. She was the one that if I was in some sort of turmoil or something, I would go to her.
Mm.
And because we were so much alike, it was very comforting. And it was just sitting there, hanging out. And then I woke up and I was like, oh, man,
I
like,
love it.
yeah, it's both ways. It's just, to me, too, so many different interpretations of things that it does get very foggy.
Hmm.
But definitely, once we get towards the end, you'll understand. I 1,000,000% agree with these people from Greece and Rome that for both, because it hits the nail on the head for me.
One thing I think is really interesting is with death is people don't think they're going to die. When
Yeah.
you talk about death, it's we're all going to die. Whether it could be tomorrow, it could be next week. Do I want to die? Of course not. Does anybody want to die? Pretty much no, for the most part. But I think you
But do you
just
really
really
die?
we get that's a whole different. But really, it comes down to you just want to hold on to that person you love. You just want that person. With the Greeks, remember in their time, people were dying in their 20s. People
Yeah.
were dying as babies. People were dying at 12 years old. So you
Yeah.
didn't really have a long, it's
You're
literally you're
basically,
talking to someone. Yeah, and they're
yeah, you're old and
dead.
decrepit at 14.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's you don't have a lot of time with that person. You're like, oh shit, Bill's not gonna be around maybe
Hmm.
tomorrow. Literally, he could be stomped by like a horse or something like
Yep.
that, and he's
Yep.
gone. So I think, yes, I think there's some things to it. Yeah, yes and no. And that's where spirits come from. You know what I mean? Because that's why we believe in ghosts, because we believe some of them are like residual hauntings where they're just caught in a loop. They're there and they can't figure out how to move on. I don't know. I just I agree with that to a certain point, and some of it is
Dying inside.
I don't know. Yeah, right? Go ahead. Go ahead.
For me, a residual haunting is not actually a spirit. It's not.
Ooh,
If
okay.
if a spirit if the spirit cannot interact or break free of a cycle, it is not a spirit because there is no intelligence behind it. To me personally, it's now there are the energies and stuff like a record,
Yeah.
right? And when something happens, it
Yep.
can scratch the surface of the record. And so the record
Yeah.
just keeps playing over and over.
Mhm.
But if you took that record and you shattered it, yeah, the thing will keep playing, but nothing actually gets hurt. It can't move anywhere. Nothing. I don't really know how to put it. Nothing like a particular thing. It's just, I feel like it's more of a recording that's
Yeah.
stuck on repeat
Is it yeah, I
as
got
opposed to being anything intelligent.
mm. So now I'm dying inside because I want to share something from you. So I'm a geek and a weirdo. I think everyone's figured that out. I love being a nerd. I'm totally cool with it. One of the things I have watched the show and read the comic, it's called Preacher. So Preacher is a
Yeah.
really deep, holy shit.
It's
If
a,
you want to watch something different, weird, strange about the afterlife, watch Preacher. It was a show that now I think it's coming on Netflix.
it's on, I think it's on Paramount Plus and Netflix, I think.
Okay, check it out. So one of the things in hell, which I believe, if you believe in hell, I don't, but if you do believe in hell, this makes perfect sense. You would be in a room, just solitary room, solitary confinement, and all they would show you is your worst
Worse.
nightmare over and over. I think that's to
Now,
me, that's residual haunting. That's a residual
eh,
haunting where you're caught in that. And that energy in that house is that's just
yes and
centered
no.
there.
I feel like
Okay.
residual hauntings aren't customized. It's
Okay.
just,
I
say
like
there's
that.
Gettysburg. So there's Gettysburg, right?
Okay.
Of death and blood and despair. There's all of this energy, right? And
Yeah.
that energy could just imprint for all of, I don't know if it wears off at any point. I don't know how that, because it's not been
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
long. It's been a while, but it's not been in the grand scheme of things very long. And people see these battles, these soldiers that are in battle, but they never react. They don't look at you. They don't talk to you. They walk right through you. The stuff like that. To me, that's residual. It has nothing to do with a person per se. It's not like
Mm,
Susie Q's going to move to Mexico and then all of a sudden Gettysburg's going to be happening there.
yeah. Yeah.
Or it's not, because I could go to Gettysburg and watching these people, these soldiers, that has nothing to do with me. It doesn't
Sure.
bother me at all. unfortunate, but it doesn't bother me personally, but it's still
Yeah,
happening. I
I
feel like
get you.
it's not.
Yeah, yeah, right.
However, I do think that maybe in a hellscape, then it would be your own personal hell. And another more up to date, no offense, version of this is I saw it in Lucifer, the show
Oh,
Lucifer.
sure. Yeah, good show.
And
Yeah,
everybody, when you go in hell, it's just like all these rocks and stuff with doors, and you open the door, and that is that person's hell. Like
yeah.
they're trapped in a hotel room, this horrible stuff, whatever the worst possible thing is. But if they could
Mm,
escape that, they would see it was just in their mind, basically.
mm.
So there's that too. It's just, I feel like a lot of times residual hauntings, yeah, they happen. It's the energy and the environment. So whether you're by water or you have the courts and all of that, it's like a battery that could keep it going.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So, not to keep on the sidetrack, but you just reminded me of something that I always feel. I used to travel a lot and I stayed in a lot of hotels. Unfortunately, in a lot of hotels, that's where people go to commit suicide. And it's just an unfortunate thing, right? So, in a lot of the older hotels, some of it is just really bad, like terrible
Cecil,
stuff. Yeah. See, there's also a couple in Chicago, the Congress Plaza Hotel, which you definitely have to check
yeah,
out. That's just a crazy one. Also, the Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee is another crazy one where people committed suicide 20s, 30s, jumping out the window, bathtub, stuff like that. But here's my thing to it. One of the things when you walk into it, a lot of paranormal investigators say we're talking about death and residual haunting and dreams actually is people have had these nightmares where they saw a woman or a man walk into their room and then go into the bathtub and then have seen them in this pool of blood and everything like that. And a lot of people said they just see that in a dream and
hmm,
everything. And I think that's a fascinating thing too. So it's a combination of the residual energy that is there, along with getting in your subconscious, which to me is scary as shit. That it could get in there and you just lay down and that just, I don't know, pops in your head for whatever reason. And I think that's interesting.
I feel okay. If you've not seen the show Medium, watch it. I've been
Oh,
raving
okay.
about the show. I've been watching it. And
I'll
exactly what
check
you're
that out.
describing is what she has there. And it's sometimes what I've had experiences like that. And I feel like the people that have those dreams, I don't think that they're just a normal, okay, get normal is a bad word, average. Okay, that's probably not good either. Whatever. Not like me person.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because they wouldn't have it. But I feel like people that have those dreams, there's something in there. Maybe they are a little sensitive. They
Hmm.
might not even realize it because maybe
Sure.
that's just not very strong. They haven't had very many
Yeah.
experiences. But when you throw it into this giant powerhouse, it's going to
Mhm.
amplify that sensitivity
Mhm.
that you have
Mhm.
to cause
Right.
those visions to be there. It might not have anything to
Love
do
that.
with it. It might just be that it's just really okay. Like your receptors are already on, you just don't realize it.
I
And then
love
you just
that.
walked into a minefield and all of a sudden it's just like boof.
I love that.
Yeah. That's
I
just my
love that.
thought.
And that's one of the things I always look at it. Like you said, minefield, and we're like on the same page here. I
I'm good
believe
at
I have
that.
this I have a weird theory of like just in a minefield where you'd be walking and you step on a mine, right? And then you're
Hmm.
like, I'm screwed. I'm dead. As soon as I take my foot off, boom, boom. And I think that's the same with the paranormal. You walk into an area, you step on that paranormal minefield, and it comes, if you're sensitive or a little bit sensitive, and it comes
Hmm.
right to you and it shows you whatever is in
Yeah.
that room,
Because you're a
house.
beacon. To me,
Yeah.
sensitive people like myself, when we go somewhere,
Mhm.
I believe that because I can physically go to somebody and I cannot actually be touching you, but if I can get close,
Mm.
people have always told me that it's almost like an electric current that you can feel if I get close. It freaks people out, but it's fun. But I call it my party trick. But I feel like whatever that is that gives it out, these things might be going around and they're trying to get somebody to help them. They're trying to get somebody to understand
Mm.
what happened to them or something of that nature. And they might have been stuck there for 150, 200, like thousands, who knows how long.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Right.
And then somebody that's sensitive comes on and they can see it. It's like a moth in a flame. And they're like, finally,
Mm.
somebody who can hear me,
Body.
somebody who can
Yeah.
see me, somebody who can feel me. Like, please. And then they just come at you because
Mm.
they're pent up for so long
Yeah.
that they just want to get it out. And I
I
feel like
love
that
that.
has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
So,
That's perfect explanation. Thank you.
woo!
I think people get behind that. Yeah.
Yeah, get behind me. Listen, maybe don't get behind me. That's kind of
Well, you
weird.
know what I mean.
Yeah,
Support you. How's
I
that?
mean, we're
That
not
better?
doing we're not doing no human centipede bull stuff here. Just saying. But another thing people have heard of a lot are ancient Egyptians, right? So they
Yeah.
started looking at dreams a little different, and they considered it a form of what they called seeing, and it
Mm,
required trained dreamers to serve as seers to help plan battles and make important decisions.
mm,
So whereas the Romans and the Greeks were like, obviously this
yeah.
is weird and you can see the future, but they didn't. It was like a flash. Like it'd be instead of it being, I know it's going to happen in a month or this upcoming battle or whatever. It was just like, oh shit, I'm like I got 24 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
And the Egyptians were more okay. Person A, you have proven that you can, with some sort of accuracy, determine what's going to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you, we're going to hide you away in this cage virtually, and we are going to try to train you because we don't want you to have any dream. We don't want you to have dreams about this
Mm,
or visions about that. We want you to
mhm.
only, we're going to weaponize you
Yeah.
and train your brain to only focus on these particular aspects. And then they would go out and be like, we're not going to invade this place tomorrow because it is going to be bad. The seer said it's bad. We want to do it Thursday
Right.
at 2 p.m. and then we're going to win. And they did a lot of that. And I 1000% believe in that because it could. I've had situations where I've told people, like, hey, like it's coming. So just be ready.
Mm, mhm.
And not that I've ever stopped it, but I could at least give some people the opportunity to have a little bit more closure because they were able to get something out that they maybe couldn't have
Mm.
in the other sense. So
Yeah. Yeah. So similar to like premonitions, right? Kind of
exactly.
way.
Those ones I would
Um,
say are 1000% premonitions.
mm, mm.
The way
And I
the way the Egyptians were using them.
So one of the things I've got, and we're not going to do this, but one of the things I've gotten into arguments with people is it deals with this is where people said everything happens for a reason. Mm, I loathe that saying because I'm like, what is there a galactic scoreboard out there that you're like, oh, the reason I didn't get hit by that car is because blah blah. Have you ever had a dream, the same dream, like three, four,
Yep.
five nights in a row?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I love to hear that because that's never happened to me.
So I've had it a lot. Like it'd be like a few days and then it would be a gap and then I would have it a few days and it's a gap. But what's interesting
Really?
is
That's
which
fascinating.
we're actually let's put that on a T because I think we're actually
Okay,
gonna
let's
get
put
to
that
that
in T. All
later
right.
because
Okay,
I
good.
brought it up and we'll get into that. But now we're
Yeah.
gonna shift a little bit out of the mystical realm of what the people believed into Sir Sigmund Freud, right?
Ooh.
So
Boys in a
uh, everybody buckle up, get your mommy and daddy issues out because here we go.
oh boy.
Your pent up is what is it, frustrations, and let's get into this.
Yes.
So according to him, of course, expression of repressed conflict or desires. So in Freud fashion, they're of
Mm.
course usually in sexual nature, right? Because that's what
Yep.
that
Yeah.
must have been a sexaholic. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was weird, but whatever. I can't say anything. I say, yeah, we're not gonna. In 2007, Max, oh my gosh, Planck Medical Institute in Heidelberg, Germany, completed a study that helped confirm a theory that, for starters, found that as the neocortex fires during sleep, which signals various regions of the hippocampus. Now, this particular area uploads information that we've been holding onto in a short term storage, like a little file cabinet you have. You got a long term and a short term,
Mm,
and it puts them in a short term. And then some
mhm.
of the information gets yanked out randomly and put into your dreams. Are we keeping recycle, keep recycle, keep recycle? And maybe your recycle ones is okay, we need to get it out. We don't know how to get it out. So we're going to throw it in your dream so that you at least process it and then it gones. It's gone. It's just a processing transaction. So that was one thing that was interesting. There's also a neurobiological theory that's called activation synthesis hypothesis. Yeah, say that 10 times
Mm.
fast. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And this theory was proposed by Harvard University psychiatrists John Allen Hobson and Robert McCarley. And it states that we dream because the mind attempts to make sense of the brain activity that occurs while we sleep. So it's
Mm.
thought that due to this, our dreams don't have absolute, there's no meaning. There's no meaning. It's literally just that our brains If they shut down completely, you're dead. So they're
Yeah.
constantly, they're never just gone. Even if you're sleeping, it's still moving, but it doesn't know what to do with it. So it's just, oh, we'll just, which would explain some people's ideas of really random, like trippy dreams that make no sense, right?
Hmm.
You're riding an
Yeah.
elephant, eating a lollipop through the posy field, and you don't know. And then next thing you know, Garfield's on the side of you. Who
How do you
knows?
know my dream?
And I totally don't believe this one at all, but
Okay.
it's at least out there.
That's interesting.
And other critics of this theory argue that the current neurophysiology does not account for dreams, that their potential meanings, like recurring dreams. If
Mm,
your dreams mean nothing and it's just a bunch of random hodgepodge, how could you possibly generate the exact same dream over and over?
yeah.
I'm actually going to go to the next parts first before I stop, because another one is threat simulation theory.
Oh,
And
sure.
that states that you portray dreams as a defense mechanism that the brain created to prepare us for a threatening event. It also says
Hmm.
that dreams serve as somewhat of a dress rehearsal for when the real events are going to occur.
Hmm.
To that, I say yes. I've not been
Okay.
in the situation yet, but if there's a situation that comes up, I'm ready. Because that dream we were talking about earlier is, now keep in mind, this started probably 7, 8 years ago.
Hmm.
So, way before the podcast was even a twinkle in my eye, right? I was a small town girl in the middle of freaking nowhere. We have one movie theater that I never go to. There's just nothing. I don't get out. I'm a hermit. But in my dream, I was in this auditorium type place. There was a stage at the front that was up, so it was
Hmm.
lifted up stage, and there were lights across the top that were, when they started it, they were off,
Hmm.
and there were like an aisle down the middle, aisle on both ends on the side, and there were these chairs in curved rows all the way towards the back.
Hmm.
And all of these people were in here. We were all there for something. I don't know what the hell it was, but this music started playing and these people were on the stage, but I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if it was intro music or was it a concert. I just know that there was music, a certain song. It got to a certain point of the song and it was all dark in there with the lights like we normally would in some sort of event. And this door, they had those big, you push the buttons to open in the back. You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about? And so the
Yeah.
door flies open, and this man, or is some sort of male in a dark hoodie, dark jeans, walks in, has this gun, and just starts gunning people down. And the first
Wow.
time I had the dream, I lasted like 5 seconds and I was dead. He shot me.
Hmm.
Then I woke up and I was like, well, that was weird. So then I have it again. But I wake up in the dream and I'm sitting in the same place and I'm like, wait, I've been here before. I know what's happening. And so then I start looking around, who's next to me? And I don't recognize the people that are next to me. I'm just like, this is weird. And then it happens again. Same thing. Music starts, it stops, guy comes in, guns people down. I don't make it. Then it
Hmm.
happens again. And then I was like, okay, I'm in the dream and I'm talking about something bad's going to happen. We got to get out of here. And nobody believes me. Guy comes in, we all get gunned down. I've tried scenarios where we would hide, hoping the guy would just walk past us. Doesn't matter. He just keeps laying into people just to make sure. Then
Hmm.
it would be, there was an exit in the front right. And so we would go out the exit. I got some people with me. We run out the exit, don't make it. We go down the exit, we take a right down the hallway. And these are all different dreams. I make it so far, I get gunned down, and then I'm wake up. And every time I try a different route, I try different people. And I've never made it out.
Huh.
But I went to my first convention last year. And I don't know why, but I had the dream. I hadn't had the dream in probably 2 or 3 years. And I had the dream the day before I left.
Wow.
And I was
Okay.
like,
That's
shit.
ominous.
And
Right.
because it's almost like some sort of combat training that my brain is putting me through to know, like, how do you get out? It's like a mousetrap. And
Yeah.
so I feel, because it is a very real world, because back then when it started, active shooter situations were not a thing. It was not common. And I was like, that was really strange. If you're sensitive to the fact that you can see things before they're going to happen, why wouldn't your brain then try to find a way to help you survive that situation if it knows it's going to end badly? Like you can't dream your own death type of situation.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just trying to be like, okay, if we don't do something, it's going to happen. So let's see if we can force her. If we do it the right way and she gets out, she'll just keep doing that. I don't know.
Mhm.
This is how I look at it. I don't know.
That's super interesting because I've heard of theories where they put you dream theories where they put you in a situation that might be life threatening, but it's really like you're trying to get out of a party. Your friend Janice calls you and be like, "Hey, Natasha, we're having a party on Friday. And would you like to come out?" And you're like, "Oh God, I really don't want to go to this
Yeah.
party. I'm so tired, but I can't tell Janice. She's my friend that I don't want to go." But there are some people who will be like, "Okay, what do I do?" Like have a plan. Let's say Aunt
I'm sick.
Phyllis is sick, or oh, I got a text. Oh, I got a text from my wife. She's blah blah blah. I gotta get
Oh,
home.
my
And
phone's
you know what I
vibrating. Let me
mean?
answer it.
Yeah, yeah. So they take, like I said, there's certain theories that deal with this, or deal with you at work where you're like, oh, I got to do this big project, and it's gonna, if I do it wrong, I might get fired, or I think I'm gonna get fired at work. So your brain like says, let's hype it up to a shooter, and let's figure out how you're going to figure this out. And it's a really weird theory, and I can't remember where I saw it, but it was like I said, preparing you for the worst. So when a situation comes along that isn't as bad, like I said, getting out of a work project, getting out of a party, that you're like, okay, I'm not gonna freak out here. I know how to get out of this.
I've never had a situation that even remotely comes close to an active
See,
shooter situation.
that's really weird. But it is when active shooters, yes and no, that it's common in a sense. But again, it comes back to life is so random. It is
Do we really have what is the word I'm looking for? What is it? It's not control. Oh my gosh, where you can decide what you want to do. What is that called? Oh my gosh, I
free
so sick.
will.
Yes, thank you. Do we really have free will, or is it all planned?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things because I think you do have free will in a sense of like where you're going to move, where, if you're going to take this job,
Somebody already knows the opportunity is coming to you, and you're going to take it. How do you know that you really have a choice?
so let's say Zach Baggins calls
Oh
you. I don't
God,
know if you like Zach Baggins.
I don't. But I did get a friend request that said it's from Zach Baggins
Okay.
on one
So
of my
let's say
social
Zach
medias. That's
Baggins
funny. Yes.
calls you and he says, you need to come to, I don't know if he's in Nevada. You need to come to Nevada. You need to move to Nevada. I want you to put you on my team. I'm going to pay you X amount of money. This is what's going to happen.
No.
That's free will, though. But that's free will for you to say no because
But
he's
is
not
it?
forcing you.
If somebody who put you in that situation
Mm,
knows that you're going to say no, and then they put you in that situation because later on you're going to learn a lesson because you said no instead of yes, and then you're going to spend your whole life trying to figure out what would have happened if you did yes. Is it really? What if the only free will we have is for those that break the matrix in the simulation?
mm.
Boom, mic drop. My mic's mounted, but I'm dropping it right here.
I'm going to do episode on the Matrix since because you've heard of stories where people think they're in the Matrix and then they shoot their friend thinking, "Oh, we're in the Matrix, we're fine. He's gonna be," and they go commit murder and they go to jail because they think they're in the Matrix. I've heard of stories like that, and it's crazy.
Actually, now that you mention it, I struggle with mental health stuff anyway.
Yeah,
And
so do I.
sometimes I actually just a month ago, I was struggling for some reason and I was trying to explain to somebody, I was like, I feel like I'm not real. And they're like, I'm like, I know that doesn't make
Mm,
sense. I look around
mm,
and I'm like, I know I'm here, but I'm like, this house isn't real. You people aren't real.
mm,
Something about it is there was something not, I totally disassociated so hard that I was like,
mm.
am I even real? Like,
Yeah,
didn't know, like, I didn't even know what to do. I was like, everything just feels fake. Like, I could
interesting.
just reach out and it just wouldn't even actually be there. It was really
Mm,
weird, but I totally get the brain sensation where that could happen.
yeah. But when I say things like that, what's the end game? What do you
Have you ever played The Sims?
What are you learning?
Have
What are
you
you
ever played The
learning? What
Sims?
No.
There is absolutely no reason. There is nothing. It's literally just let's build this, or we want to act out some sort of fantasy or run an
But
experiment. We just want to be in control. We want to feel like we are in control of
it
something. So we make these fake people in these fake
mm,
lives in these fake houses, and we put them. We force them into situations that they
mm,
think are by chance, but we're actually moving
yeah.
these people intentionally next door neighbors so they would run into each other. It's
Okay.
literally like playing God. You can take a
Interesting.
swimming pool, put somebody in it. For some reason, you can't climb out of the swimming pool, but you can get rid of the ladder and then they drown and they die. And then you have a little ghost that walks around. And you can put them in a room and do walls and drop them in a room and then get rid of the door.
Mm, hmm. That's interesting. No,
What
I've
if
never
it's just
played
a
it because
game?
yeah, but
We're on some
okay, this
intergalactic YouTube channel being streamed right now.
but again, a game always has to have an ending.
How can
They're
you have free
different.
will and fate?
You can't, and I'll tell you why.
But how?
Because okay, so for example, there's some things people do in life and they just can't get anywhere. For example, let's say you want to become a rock star, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. And you buy the equipment, you practice, you get some people, you go out there, you do everything you think with according to where your free will. You mean you have to buy the equipment, you have to maybe you quit your job or something because you want to be a rock star. That's what you want to do. But your fate, for whatever reason, and this is I can't explain, you just never ever happen.
But it's
Just
because there's
never
something that
ever
you
work.
didn't do that made you get the break.
Okay.
Because you chose not to do
So
it. Maybe you needed to move out of your parents' garage or basement and you needed to move
okay.
across the country, but you decided you couldn't do that, so you didn't. You were like, I'm just going to make it here. Then therefore you are
Hmm.
still
But that comes back to free will, where you're saying, I have the free will to move from Wisconsin to New York,
I'm
and
saying
I'm not doing it.
you were put into a situation not by choice that made it virtually impossible for you to actually be able to make that trick. So therefore you were forced into whatever fate you have.
Hmm. I like that.
Okay, I live in
So,
a small town. A lot of people here don't have the means to escape. Therefore, we are trapped in this tiny town for the end of days.
yes and no, because you can say, I don't give a shit. I'm going to move. And if I have to
And move
live on the
where?
street, maybe you live on the streets for a little while.
And how is
You
that going to
figure
get to your
some
goal?
eventually you say, okay, I'm tired of living on the streets. I'm going to do anything, unfortunately, it could be criminal, to get out of this mess. And that's one of the things where I think free will gets totally
But
screwed
what
up.
if your fate was to be that stubborn, go out there and become a story of don't be like her? Then it is therefore your fate, nothing having to do with free will. The whole point was for you to be a martyr.
Oh, oh boy. See now
A
that's
moral
a whole
martyr.
different
Boom.
that's a whole different
Mic drop
that's
again.
a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing. Yeah, that's fascinating to me. See, that's why I always think about things
I got one
like
for you.
people okay, go ahead.
So, way back in the day, in the late 80s, my husband was in
Your current
college.
husband? Your
Yes,
current
my
husband?
current husband was
Okay.
in college in Illinois. He was
Okay.
from Illinois. He went to college in Illinois. All his friends were in Illinois. One day, one of his friends said, You know what? I heard there was this cool bar in Terre Haute, Indiana. We should drive all the way out there and go there. And they were
Okay.
like, Oh, and they're like, You know what? We have nothing else. All of our plans fell through this night. We had plans. We were going to go. Totally free will to go do whatever we want, but we had plans. But ironically, all of our plans didn't work out. So the only plan we had was to go to Terre Haute, Indiana. My husband walks in that bar and meets his first wife. He then
Hmm.
graduates college, moves to Indiana because that's where she's from. And I wasn't even born yet. And because he went to that
That's
bar
interesting.
in college one night,
Yeah.
he ended up, because he married her, they got divorced, and he stayed around here, but then he got married and had kids. So he stayed around here because that's where the family was for her family.
Mm. Mhm.
And fast forward like 30 years, I met him because I took a temporary position while I was married to my ex husband to work at a place that I was only supposed to be at for 2 weeks. And they ended up keeping me. And we didn't even work in the same building. We just by chance, because of something I was good at, they moved me into a
Mm.
spot where I then crossed paths with him.
Mm. I That's fascinating. I got one very similar that will blow your mind too. Okay, so I'm dating myself and I don't care. So I actually bought there was a time in my life where I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna work for myself. So I
Mhm.
actually bought 2 video stores in the city. There's a smaller city outside of Madison, Wisconsin, which is the capital of Wisconsin. And I bought this video store that's near these apartments. Didn't even think about what's going on other than I just want to be my own boss and stuff like
Yep.
that. So my wife, who is my wife now, she came in and she saw me and she said she was immediately like, "This is my husband." Immediately she walked in, she had that
Mhm.
feeling. But she was very shy and she's extremely shy. She didn't know how to talk to me.
Yeah.
So one day she comes in and she said this, started talking to me and stuff, and she left. And then I saw her standing by the door and she was like, standing by the door, like hesitating. I'm thinking, oh, did she forget her movie? This is how goofy I am. Like, she forget her movie, she forget whatever. And she comes back in and she's really nervous. And she says to me, "Would you like to go out for a drink sometime?" We've been married 25 years. So
Oh, wow. Yeah. You know what's
say it,
crazy? My husband, when he was here, not only did he move to Indiana,
that's
his
weird.
second wife and his children, they're in my town. They grew up
Yeah.
5 minutes from where I grew up, and I
Yeah.
never knew him. We went to the same, when he was like, oh, yeah, I used to go to the local Moose and do it for karaoke night. And I was like, I went to the Moose for karaoke night.
Yeah.
And we never, somehow, we just never saw each
Yeah.
other
Right. And
until
yeah.
then.
Right. And she used to come in and everything like that. But I asked her, and this is where it kind of comes to free will a little bit. I asked her, why did she decide to come back in? Because she was going to walk away because she was like, he's not interested. It ain't working.
Hmm.
I'm fine with it. I'll go on with my life. And I said to her, what gave you the courage to walk back in? She said to me, if I don't do it now and take the chance, I don't know what's going to happen to my life. That's how convinced she was. If she didn't say something to me, her life would have went completely somewhere else where she doesn't know that I would not be included in. Now that to me blows my mind that she's thinking that she wants me in her life that much. I think it's weird.
It is
But
weird.
anyway,
However,
okay.
how do you know that someone didn't give her that nudge, that thought, that pull to put you guys? It's like two ends of a magnet don't have anything to do with each other until you put them close enough to interact.
Mm,
So who's to say somebody
mhm.
didn't put her there and be like, hey, because those feelings could either go or not go.
Yeah. So,
Or why can you
okay.
be so why can you be so emotionally drawn to someone and oh, Hallmark movie bullshit. And
Yeah, it's
then 5 years
Hallmark.
down the road, you look at this person, you're like, who are you're just a stranger in my house. I don't love you. I don't feel
Yeah,
any, I
yeah.
feel
Yeah, yeah.
nothing because
Yeah, yeah.
but nothing happened. It just stops.
Mhm, mhm.
But it's like they needed to put you in that situation to get you so far so that you can
Yeah,
hop on
yeah.
the next train.
So here's the answer to that, which it will blow your mind. So she had been dating this guy for 5 years, okay? And eventually she said to him, "Are we ever gonna get serious? Are we ever gonna get do you think I'm marrying me?" And he was like, "I don't know. I don't know." And so that I told
See?
her, I bet that was the spark that she went, I want because she told me, which is the worst first date ever, Natasha, where she goes, "I'm not gonna lie to you. I wanna get married and I wanna have kids. If that's not what you want, then let's cool it."
I've had this exact conversation. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. If that's a problem, there's the fucking door.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. And I was like, I do
Literally
want to
had
get married and kids, but not now. Can we date? Relax.
a date. There's this guy that I was crushing on. 5 years later, I run into him, right? By chance,
Yeah.
it's a random workplace. So he moved out of
Mm,
town. I stayed there,
mhm.
but we ended up working in another town together. It was weird.
Yeah, yeah.
And we went on one date. I come in, we sit down to have coffee or lunch or whatever. And he said something. I don't remember what he said. He wasn't like rude or anything. He was really polite. And
Sure.
I said, here's the thing. I said, if you ever want children of your own, this won't work.
Mhm, mhm.
And he was like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, I physically cannot
Um,
have children. I was like, they took everything out years ago. And he was like, okay, this won't work. And I was like, okay, we had our lunch and we left. And I haven't seen him since. I
yeah.
was like,
We
hey, if this is what you want, it's not going to happen here.
By the way, this has turned into Natasha and John's relationship podcast, which we will help anybody out there with any issues you may be having. 1-800 Natasha Relationships. We got a call. Sorry, I'm making Natasha choke now, and I feel bad.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Hey,
This is Tosh Talk. I'm listening. For all of you Frasier fans, I
I
love
love
Frasier.
Frasier.
Oh my
I
gosh.
love Frasier.
If he's still up to kick it, I love him. Oh my God. If you ever hear this, please shout me out because I love you. I'm
Chelsea
watching
Graham
all
is
the
very funny.
Cheers episodes. So that
Yes.
I
Oh, the
watched it backwards.
Cheers.
I watched Frasier first
Yeah.
and I fell in love with that show. I
Yeah, it's a
loved
great show.
him.
It's a
And
great show.
they have a new spinoff, like an older one where it's like him and his son. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's a little liberal for my taste, but
Mhm.
it's pretty good. I still like it just because I watch it because I like him so much.
Yeah,
And
yes.
then I went back and watched Cheers and saw him then. And I was like, it's so weird to see him as a character, you know what I mean? Before, because I watched the older
Right.
ones.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so good God. The problem is I took a big hit off my vape when you said that, and I coughed it all the way down like the wrong tube.
We're good. We're
Okay.
good now.
But shifting gears over here to the Dreamland, let's drift off back into Dreamland here. Because I wanted to get into a little bit of weird stuff that happened for me.
Okay, great.
Now, I have had some real doozies,
Mm.
and I still don't sometimes know how to make what to make of them. And it all pretty much has to do with babies and death, which
Ooh.
not necessarily together, just to clarify.
Okay.
Thankfully.
Like,
Sometimes yes, sometimes
yikes.
no. Now-
Yikes.
Oh my God. Hold on. My kid must be home. My dogs are barking too. All right. So, about 13 years ago, 12, 13 years ago, I went to bed. I was a kid, right? And I woke up and I was in my head, I was in a hospital and I was holding a sweet little boy, right?
No.
And I told the doctors, I went to the doctor and I told them, ironically, it was because somebody else I knew was having a baby. And I went in and I was like, I think I'm pregnant. And they're like, there's no way to know because they ask you all the questions. When was the last, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, there's no way you would know. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm pregnant.
Mm.
So they did 3 pee tests and a blood draw over
Yeah.
the next like week or so. All of them were negative.
Oh, okay.
But I went in, I'm like, it's all negative. I was like, I'm telling you, I'm like, there is something inside me that is not me.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And I'm like, I can feel it. I don't know how to explain this, but there's something in here and it's not me. It's part of me. I said, but
Yeah.
it's not me. I was like, I'm telling you. So we finally did another blood draw and it had been 3 weeks since we started this whole fiasco. Finally comes back positive. 9 months later, I have my little boy that looked exactly like the
wow.
one I had seen before. And when we did the test, they did an ultrasound and found out that after 3 weeks of arguing with me, I was 3 weeks pregnant. So I knew I had the dream
Yeah.
like the
Right.
same time this thing, like he's a monster, but was created. And it was so crazy. That was one of them that I've had. So my
Okay.
older sister, she's only 11 months older than me, so we're pretty close in
Mm.
age. And she was trying to have a baby. She got married. They're being responsible. She graduated, all that stuff. She's got her ducks in a row. And she was telling everybody, oh, we're just not having any luck, nothing yet. One day we go in and I was like, hey, uh, how's it going? Is it working? And she's nothing yet. And I was like, straight up called her out on her bullshit. I was like, you're lying. And she goes, what? I'm like, you're lying. I was like, you're pregnant and you're having
Yeah.
a girl. And she goes, what? And I'm like, you're pregnant and you're having a girl.
Wow. Okay.
She's like, no, I'm not. And I was like, just trust me. So by then, which is weird because it hadn't happened much. So I was still,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
And a month later, she fessed up and said that she had been telling everybody she wasn't pregnant because she didn't want to jinx it.
What?
And later on, she brought home my niece.
Oh.
Then my brother had the same situation, and it wasn't even him because I thought maybe it was something correlated to the women, right? Nope. I called both my brother's kids too. Then
Wow.
a few years later, I had a dream about my little sister. She had gotten
Wow.
married. She graduated, got married, all that stuff. And I asked my mom, I said, hey, are those two trying to have a baby? And my mom's like, yeah, she said they're trying, but
Mm.
it wasn't happen this time around. And I said, guess what? She's lying. I said, either she doesn't know yet or she's lying because she's having a
Wow.
girl.
Yeah.
And as predicted, I met my next niece.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a
Now,
baby whisperer.
well, we're about to have one that's a little unfortunate.
Oh no.
Now, my husband's a lot older than me, so his children are also older. And
Mm.
I had a dream one night and told my husband, I said, hey, your daughter's pregnant and she's having a girl.
Mm.
And he's, oh no, because they've been dating forever, but they're not like officially married yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm telling you, she's pregnant. Oh no. And I was like, I am telling you, honey, just get ready. I said, because she's going to need your help with something. And so the next day, when we woke up, she called and said, hey, I got something I want to talk to you guys about. Are you going to be home today? So she
Mm.
comes to the
Uh-oh.
house, gets out of the car, and lo and behold, she pulls out ultrasound pictures. She's pregnant.
Oh. Wow.
Here's the unfortunate part. So
Uh,
we're all congratulations, and I'm just standing there because I'm like, I don't know what to do. We go back
mm.
inside, and I just was devastated because like I don't know, do I say something? Do I not say something? Because I can pick up on a lot of stuff being around people,
Yeah. Sure.
and I felt horrible. But I was like, honey, there's something wrong. And he's like, what? I'm like, there's something
Mm.
wrong with the baby. I was like, she's not going to make it. I said, so just be ready. I said, because your daughter's going to need your help because she's going to be upset,
Mm.
obviously. I said, but,
Yeah.
and he's, oh no, you're full of it. And I'm like, no, just trust me. I was like, something's wrong.
Right.
And then
Mm.
just like a few days later, she called and told us that she lost the baby.
Oh.
And he's, what?
Mm.
I'm like, I told you. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Mm.
However,
Mm.
not that long after that, I again had a dream and I'm like, hey, your daughter's pregnant again. And he's, oh, no way. Like, it's just happened. I'm like, no, she's
Yeah.
pregnant
Yeah.
again. I was like, and it's a boy. I was like, and he's fine. He's going to be fine. He's going to be
Yeah.
healthy. He's going to be great. I was like, he's adorable as hell. And he's, oh, guess what? Now I have a great and beautiful little grandson.
Oh.
So he's good. And it's been, I think I'm on number like 11 or 12 now of babies that I've been
Whoa.
like, hey, like you're having a baby. And here's
Damn.
what it is. And I've been like, boom, boom. To the point now
Wow.
where people are afraid if I call them because they're like, you didn't have a dream about me, did you? And I'm like, no, okay, because I don't want to have another baby. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I can tell it to do it. I was like, it just happens. I was like, I don't know. I was like,
yeah.
maybe y'all quit forking, then maybe we'll be all right.
Yeah. 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 Wear protection. Well,
Yeah,
there you go.
that doesn't always help. Just saying, personal
No.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you. I hear you.
We just have that. Now we're gonna get into a little more morbid territory here
Uh-oh.
because this gets crazy.
Okay.
So at one point, I was back living with my mom,
Mm.
and At the time, my grandpa, you'll be able to relate to this, he had Alzheimer's
Yeah.
and he got to the point where he was very aggressive and violent.
Sure.
And he was a pretty large man, so it was getting a little
Oh,
dangerous. So
no.
they moved
Yeah.
him to a facility.
Right.
He was in a nursing home, but then he was too dangerous. It was hurting people. So they moved him to a facility like an hour and a half from my house.
Mm.
And he'd been there for a while. I never went to visit because the last time I went to visit, he thought, because I look a lot like my mom's mom that I never met because she died when my
Mm.
mom was 12.
Okay.
And he thought I was her. And it got him all upset. And then he couldn't
Yeah.
understand why his wife wasn't going to give him a kiss or do all of that because he had no idea I even existed. So
Sure.
it was bad. And I just never went back. Now, again, I'm there at mom's house. Whoops. And I fall asleep on the couch. And when I wake up, I'm in a hospital bed and my arms and my feet are strapped to a hospital like bed.
Mm.
My thing's telling me my internet connection is funky. Okay, we're good. And then I look down and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm taller than I really am. I'm actually I'm tan, which is obviously not me. And I'm like, I'm a dude. I'm like, okay, this is.
Uh,
And then I look and I realize I'm in my grandpa's body. It's like I am
mm.
inside his head watching just as
Yeah.
if I were him. And we're sitting at the table, there's a nurse in the corner that had her back to me. And she was like writing notes in his little file on the little cabinet by the
Mm.
sink.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I felt like I couldn't breathe. There was an elephant just sitting on my chest, and I was like trying to gasp for air. And so, me inside of him was trying to scream and get the nurse's attention to tell her that we needed
Mm.
help. And she acted like she didn't even hear us. And it just got a little worse and a little worse. And then all of a sudden, it was like everything was going black around my vision and it all shrank and shrank. And then eventually it was just gone. And then I woke up
Okay.
on my mom's couch, and I was like
Yeah.
gasping for air and stuff, just panicking.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did that, the phone rang. And
Okay.
my mom went and answered it. And I couldn't hear anything she was saying, but she came around the corner and I was like, Grandpa's dead, isn't he? And so that was them calling to tell my mom that he had just passed away.
Wow.
And she's like, how did you know that? I was like, I just knew. I
Mm.
didn't want to tell her like I was
Sure.
there because, that
Right.
sounds really weird.
Right.
And then I found out later, apparently her nurse and I had the same name.
Oh,
So they were like, yeah, Tasha was with
wow.
him. And they're like, what? And they're like, Tasha was with him. And I was like, so because I was like
Uh,
freaking out. I was like, oh God, how did they know? How did they know I was there? It
yeah.
was the
Yeah.
nurse. It was the nurse the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Still enough to freak me out though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's around the same time frame, I go to bed again, wake up. I'm in a house full of people and
Mm.
I didn't recognize anybody.
Mm.
And I'm looking around and I wasn't interacting with people. It was like a house party almost, but nobody was
Mm.
acknowledging me or anything. And then all of a sudden, it was like everybody knew somebody was coming and we all panicked. We scattered like roaches, right? So we just take off. We're this house in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
and we're running and running. There's this black woman that I've never seen before. And I end up with her and we're running through like these woods and stuff. And there's just this guy with, again, I don't know what is with this guy in a hoodie, but it's always a guy in a hoodie because I can't see his face. I just know that he
Mm.
had jeans and a hoodie. And we were running and we found this piece of equipment and we were hiding, like ducked down behind this big chunk of metal. And the guy found us. And so we scream, of course. And the guy doesn't even act like I'm there. He does
Yeah.
not acknowledge me. To me, I'm sitting here. The woman never even acknowledged me. It was like I was just running next to her. We were just on the same path.
Yeah.
And I then proceeded to watch this man stab this woman to death right there,
Ugh.
just right there on the ground. And I'm like, and I'm trying to like get him off of her. I'm screaming at him, and nothing I'm doing it's like I'm there, but I'm not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I'm a
Yeah.
ghost in a situation. And then I wake up and I'm like sweating and I can't breathe. And it's just this big stressful situation. I'm like, that was a really weird nightmare. And my mom always kept a TV on in the kitchen because they'd get up in the morning, have coffee, watch the news. That's what we do in small town
Yeah.
USA. And I had got out and went to go get something out of the refrigerator and the news was on, but it was muted. And I just so happened to turn around and the fucking woman's face is on the news.
Ooh.
And
Whoa.
I just dropped the milk went everywhere because I just
Yeah,
dropped it.
yeah.
And I was just like, "Ah." And like
Yeah,
I said, I've
yeah.
never seen this woman before. I have no idea who she is or
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
anything.
Yeah.
And I unmuted it and they were investigating her death because she was stabbed to death in an alley.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a little scary.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I like? Why would I even see that? I didn't have any
Yeah,
information that would help. It was a different, it was just, it was so bizarre.
yeah.
And it was just crazy. And some people, like my husband's very skeptical. And I tell him about these things and I'm like, honey, I just know. And he just
Mhm.
keeps trying to tell me, like, oh, it's all in your head, blah, blah, blah. And it just
Sure.
keeps happening too many times for it to just be in my head.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
one day, so his stepdad, I've never met him. I just know his
Mm,
name. And I know that he
okay,
was in a nursing home before I ever met my husband. So I
okay,
never met him. And when I say in a nursing home, they are like 5 hours from here. So I've never seen this guy.
okay.
But again, I go to bed one night and I wake up and I am in a hospital bed again. But it's
Mm,
weird because I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, I'm a man, but I'm like, I don't recognize myself. I don't know who I am, but I just know I'm a guy. But then I'm
yeah.
starting to look around the room. I'm like, wait, I'm at my mother in law's house. And I'm like, this is
Hmm,
weird. Because I'm like, I'm
yeah,
in a hospital bed in my mother in
right.
law's house. I was like, well,
Yeah,
how the hell's that work? And
yeah,
there's a nurse that's talking and all this stuff. And again, same
yeah.
thing. I can't breathe. We're going through the same process. I'm screaming, trying to get help. Nothing happens. Boom. I wake up and I told my husband, I was like, "Y- your stepdad's going to die." And he goes, what? I'm like, he's going to die. I was like, if you have anything that you need to say to this man, say it now. And he's, oh, you're full. I'm like, he's soon. It's happening soon. I was like, it didn't happen yet.
Yeah,
I said, but it's happening
yeah.
soon. He's what? And I'm like, he's gonna die in your mom's house. And he's, oh, that's impossible. He's been in the nursing home for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm telling you, he's going to die in your mother's house
Mm,
soon.
yeah.
Shit you not, that same day I woke up, we get a phone call from his mother that they put him in hospice care and moved him into her house. And the next
Wow.
day he died. Yeah. And I'm
Jeez.
like, seriously?
Yeah. Do so do you look as this as a blessing or a curse?
Mm, right now, I would say none of the above.
Okay.
I'd say it's neutral
Alright.
because one, I don't, so far, I haven't really gotten a lot of a heads up to do much of
Mm,
anything to fix it,
yeah, yeah.
or it doesn't seem like there's any purpose behind it.
Mhm.
It doesn't really bother me one way or the other. It's not like it affects me in any way. It's just that was
Sure.
freaking weird. And it's just enough to be like,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
really odd kind of thing to happen.
Uh-huh.
But I think if there's a way, which is one thing I wanted to look into at some point, was if there's a way to maybe hone my skills, I guess you could say, or
Mm, mhm.
maybe figure out a way to make it more, what's it, not like on demand, but at least make it a little more, maybe I could get more information or maybe more heads
Mhm.
up or something, then I think
Yeah.
it could be helpful.
Mm,
It's not the greatest because I then am feeling these people die because that's not really
yeah.
fun. And what's scary is I know I can feel it. And it seems when I say it's there, I could smell everything. I could hear everything. It's literally like I am in someone else's body and everything is clicking.
Huh.
It's not like I'm in a dream. It's I am there.
Right?
And I've had some dreams like that, some horrible nightmares like that, where I've been
Yeah.
killed in unimaginable ways. And it's bad. And I'm like, please tell me that was just a nightmare. Please
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
me that's not really happening to somebody. I just don't know who it is because I can't see
Mm,
myself. I don't, if I look in a mirror, but there's never a mirror. I never know who I am. They never say a name.
yeah.
It's just that if I know where I'm at or who I am, I can put the pieces together, but I never actually know. So it
Mm,
doesn't help anything. Which brings me back
yeah.
to watch that show called Medium because I'm watching some of these shows, these episodes, and I'm like, everything that I try to tell my husband to explain the experience that I'm having, that show does a great job. I'm like, that is exactly what it feels like.
Hmm,
That's what happens to me. So it'd be
interesting.
nice.
Yeah, it would be nice to get a little bit of
Yeah.
answers and to hone it that it's more, I don't say random, but you more of not be more focused. I don't know. That's just,
There's
ugh,
only been one that was extremely upsetting for me because I was very close to my grandpa, my other grandpa,
yeah.
and I knew he was going to die. I saw it
Mm.
happen. I saw how it happened. Even the background as to who we could and could not get on the fucking Zoom call to
Oh
talk to
boy.
him before he died. The fact that he
Yeah, yeah.
fell. Like in my dream, I was
Mm.
him and I was in a hospital, but I'm like, I can't breathe, but I'm like, I'm dizzy. I can't
Yeah.
think straight. I know who
Right?
I am, but
Yeah.
I can't get my
Mm.
thoughts across. And then I was telling my husband about it. I was like, I have PTO. I need to take off. I need to go see him because he's going to be gone.
Yeah, yeah.
And my husband, Skeptic Sam, convinced me not to go.
Oh, okay.
And then my grandpa died the
Mm.
exact way I thought he was going to.
Sure.
And there was nothing I could do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I missed
That's
an
a shame.
opportunity because he's a fucking
Yeah.
skeptic.
Yeah. And I think that would be obviously
And he's
now
never
in
going to live
the
it down.
future. I
I
was
will
gonna say,
forever
right,
loathe him for
hold that
that.
over 'em. Yeah, I know, and that's sad. There's no way, and that's why I always go, if you wanna do it, just go ahead, just do it, and deal with the repercussions later, as long as it's nothing, like, terrible. It's just
Literally, I mean, I had PTO
yeah,
and all
yeah,
of
if you
that.
have time, just go.
Yeah. Why is my thing being weird? There it is. It's back again. But yeah, so those are some of mine. Do you have any dreams or anything like that that's happened to you?
So one thing has to do, I had a author on, her name was Vicky Jo Anderson. She wrote a book on sleep paralysis that kind of has to deal with dreams and what people go through and everything like that, which is absolutely horrible. Luckily, I only had one sleep paralysis dream. I've never had dreams like you've had, which I consider something lucky.
Well, what's funny
I
is
don't know how to deal with
I've
that.
I've never had a sleep paralysis dream.
Oh, okay. So
So we
sleep
have like both
paralysis
directions here.
sleep paralysis dreams typically, not all the time, but typically have to do with a high amount of stress in your life, high amount of worry, not all the time. Like she told me it varies. She's been dealing with sleep paralysis for over 40 years. Some people deal with it every single night. There's a documentary out there will scare the ever living shit out of you, and the name can't escapes me right now. But if you watch it, you'll be like, "Damn, you will be sleeping with the lights on, like,
Oh,
forever." It's a terrible one that talks about all this
I
stuff.
already
So
do sleep with
anyway,
the light on.
there you go.
It
Uh,
flickers all night whenever it's time to go to bed, but it's on.
so my dream was half fun and half serious. So like I said, I'm going through all this and I'm sleeping and I wake up and there's this black mist hovering over me that's coming closer and closer to my face. As it comes closer to my face, Natasha, I see a woman's face, an
Oh,
ugly old hag. Imagine any scary cliche horror movie. And
Hellboy,
she's
Baba
good. Yeah,
Yaga.
there we go. Perfect. So she comes down, she's getting closer and closer to me, and I can't move. I literally can't move. Now, I don't know what she's trying to do, but I feel like I'm being drained. Okay. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
she's literally sucking the soul from me. So, with all my strength, and this is where it gets really weird, I turn over to my side, and I'm a side sleeper, like most people, and I turn
Yeah.
over to my side. Now, here's what this is where it gets truly weird. I start speaking Latin, like exorcists, like like that. I don't know Latin. I've never taken Latin in my life. Don't know anything about. I've heard it on horror movies, but
Yeah.
give me a break, right? As soon as I say that, a like force and comes out of my body. I turn around, the mist is gone, and I hear in the living room a like someone falling. Like if you like someone would trip
Yeah.
in your
Clunk.
kitchen and you'd be like, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And here's the thing. I'm sleeping next to my wife. My wife wakes up when a mouse farts. She's just one of those light
That's
sleepers,
me. Yeah.
right? Mouse farts and boom, she's up. She doesn't move. She didn't move at all. She's just sleeping. So I get up like an idiot, like the typical cliche of horror movies, and go into the kitchen. Now, here's the weird thing. My wife had bought this because we like love decorating for Halloween, obviously. and we decorated a little bit earlier, and she found this doll, this witch doll,
Nope.
an ugly witch doll from just a garage sale. My wife didn't think anything of it, and she put it up. So when at the breakfast table, it faces me. Every time I looked at that witch, Natasha, it just felt wrong. Something's wrong about that witch. It was like
Yeah.
they're almost peering into my soul. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Okay. So I go into the kitchen, I turn the lights on, and in the middle of the kitchen is that doll.
Oh, fuck that.
Like someone had thrown it. It's in the middle of the kitchen. And now you're thinking, John, you didn't pick up that doll, did you? No, I did not. And I go into the bathroom because I'm like, I don't know. I go into the bathroom. I'm like, okay, I'm a splash of cold water on my face. And I go into the bathroom and my face is not my face. It's
Oh,
like
hell
this
no.
distorted image and like coming
Like
in
a
and out.
funny.
Yeah, it's like trying to come in and out and stuff like that. And for some reason, I just closed my eyes and I said, I'm here, I'm present, I'm here, I'm present. And I look again, and now I'm okay. So for whatever reason, I go back into bed expecting my wife to be like, what the hell was going on? Still nothing, nothing.
That's
I
so
actually
weird.
yeah, I actually fall asleep. I get up the next morning. The witch is gone. The doll is gone. And I say to my wife, you're never gonna believe this. I explained the dream. And she just looks at me and she goes, huh, that's interesting. And I go, so where's the doll? And she goes, oh, I don't know. I decided to put it back. It seemed, I don't know. She goes, I don't think it fit. I don't know. She's making up these weird excuses she never made up. And to this day, she's never explained to me why she's put that doll away. And she's never brought it back to Halloween. She never puts it up again.
Hmm.
And she just skirt around
Maybe
the
she
issue and
buried
she'll
it.
be like, I don't know what she did with that, and she won't tell me. She just, I don't know, doll just blah blah blah, whatever. And I keep saying to her, "Did you have the same dream I had?" And blah blah blah. And always she's no. Now my wife, she gets scared, like when there's a rattling door.
Yeah.
She'll call me. Hey, there's something weird up here. I thought I heard something. And I'll come. I don't hear. And she's not in the paranormal at all. She's not a skeptic at all. She's just really scared of it.
Yeah.
She would look out and see something weird in our outside of our window. She'd be like, "Ah," freak out. And like we watch horror movies together, and she literally sleeps like right next to me, like I can't move.
Yeah.
She would just sleep right next to me and be like, okay. Like I can protect her if something's gonna happen, like a demon runs
I
in.
think it's
But
probably more like
anyway,
take him instead.
I asked a medium about this, and she was like, "Oh." And I asked Vicky about it, and she was like, "Oh, that's really interesting." She goes, "I know you want to put a lot to it, but she says it's probably just comes back to you're really stressed and all these things are coming to the forefront." But she said, "I'll be honest with you, I don't know." And she goes, "If you think there's a sleep paralysis expert out there, there isn't." She goes, "It's really everyone's different. Everyone has they're really still trying to figure it out,
I think it's
how this
bullshit.
works."
Not that that's bullshit, but I
But
think the whole concept of, oh, you're just stressed. Flag on the play.
yeah, yeah. And again, I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what happened to me, and it has never happened again. But like I said, the author Vicky, she told me, if anybody says they're an expert with dreams and sleep paralysis, she goes, they're full of shit. Because she
Yeah.
says that is not, nobody truly knows what's going on with whatever dreams coming around and why you have them and what's going on. And if it's stressed, if it's this, and there's so many theories out there that deal with it, it's really hard. So that by far, I've had nightmares and stuff, but that one by far, I still don't understand the Latin thing. And she said to me, she goes, maybe, she goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. She goes, you were really speaking Latin. She goes, no, I said, hell yeah. It was like coming out of me like an exorcist, like in an exorcist movie. And not, I've seen The Exorcist, but it's not like I watched every day. Not
Yeah.
like I memorized it, but it was just a really interesting dream. And I was like, damn, I don't want to have that again.
Yeah.
Especially not
That
being able
would,
to move. Not being
I'm
able to move is scary. Very scary.
like the whole time you're talking about, I'm just like in my head, I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm just picturing this mist comes up and you're laying there and you're stuck and you like watch the mist go like through your nose and your mouth. That's what I'm picturing. And
Oh,
then it like gets in your body. And yeah, that would be.
ooh,
And I came out and there's a fucking now. Okay, I've had my stuff moved quite often, and I'm like, huh.
yeah.
But aside from my candlestick holders over here, those got thrown on my floor. The candles got flung all over the studio. But aside from that, usually it's gonna be moved, it'll be like rotated or something. It doesn't like
Mhm.
fling it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'd be like, come on, really?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
But
It's more of an annoyance. This was, like, really frightened me. Really, I had to go through some
I think you
things
found
to
a haunted ass
understand it.
doll, is what you did.
Yeah, and that's what's funny about it is I don't know where that doll is. To this day, I have no idea. Every time we decorate for Halloween, like, try to help decorate, and I'm like, I never can find it. So I don't know what my wife did with it, and now that's even more scary
Maybe you should
because
put it
she
in the
won't tell me.
trash. See,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I wouldn't do this, but it would be funny, dear John's wife, if you're listening, to take that doll and like just periodically put it in the seat of your car. No, so you wake up and like when you look out the window, it's like
Nasty.
sitting there looking at you, or put it in the kitchen with a knife across its lap or something.
You're
Give
nasty.
give him a heart attack. But that's what I tell
Naughty.
people all the time. I'm like, it's just so much weird stuff happens. I don't think I've ever had a dream where I felt like I couldn't move.
That's good.
I've had dreams where in my dream, maybe I felt like I was like that, but it wasn't like my body. I wasn't like coherent. It was
Mm,
in my dream, people were holding my legs down and I was kicking for dear
yeah.
life. And then
Yeah, yeah.
apparently, while I
Sure.
was doing that, my husband informed me that I was actually kicking and screaming bloody murder. And I
Oh,
kicked the
yeah, yeah.
dog, our 60 something pound dog, off the bed because he was
Oh,
by my
no.
feet and I just was
Ah.
kicking and I didn't even wake
Yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
And he's decided that sometimes I'm a little possessed because
Yeah,
I've done it before. I've been in bed and he like shook me and he's, "Hey,
mhm,
are
mhm.
you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?"
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, "You
Mm,
just woke me up." I was like, "What's going on?" He's, "Were you having a bad
yeah.
dream?"
Uh-huh.
I'm like, "No, I don't think so." I'm like, "Why?" He goes,
Yeah.
"Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You sounded a little creepy. You were freaking me out." And I'm like, "What?" Because he's really
Yeah.
skeptical and he doesn't really get bothered by stuff. But apparently
Sure.
I was in my sleep and I looked like, if you just looked at me, I just looked like a little sleeping cherub baby. But then all of a sudden I started going, just this guttural. He was
Yeah, I
like,
got
he
you.
goes, "I don't know what the hell was coming out of your voice." He goes, "But
Yeah.
it
Right,
didn't
right.
sound like you. I don't know what the
Huh.
hell you were saying." And
Mhm.
then I guess at one point, like, when he went to shape me, I guess I looked at him before I actually woke up. So I
Huh.
was saying all this stuff and then I just looked at him and he was like, "You didn't
Hmm.
look right. Something was wrong." And then I woke
Yeah.
up and then he was
Right.
like, and I was just like, "What are you
Huh.
doing?" He's like, "Go away." I was like, "Do I need to take a shower in holy water or something? Like, what's going on?" But some stuff's just so crazy. And you hear so many stories about people that
Oh, there's
either in their dreams or they
sure.
wake up. And then part of me is I've had situations where I'm not sure if I'm awake or not.
Mhm, mhm,
I'm in my bed,
mhm.
but things look off.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around, I'm like, I can't tell.
Yeah. Yeah. I also did a, episode on déjà vu, which is
Oh, 1,000,000%. I get that all the time.
yeah, it's it can be scary, it can't be. I don't know. Doing the research on it, one of the things I found out is if you have déjà vu all the time,
Mm.
there is unfortunately a condition you may have, a mental
Oh,
condition, health condition that you should probably have looked at. So I'm like,
that's
okay,
bullshit.
like all the time,
I do.
every
I have it a lot.
yeah,
Like sometimes I'll be
but you don't
sitting
have it,
there.
like, every day, do you? That's what they're
Sometimes
talking about.
I have bouts where it really is, or I'll be sitting there and I'll just be looking around and I know it's coming, and then I'll say what they're gonna say at the same time they say it,
Hmm,
and they're like, "How did you know that?" I'm like,
interesting.
"I've been here before. I know what
Yeah,
this is.
right?
I know what's happening. What's going
Oh,
on?" And
yeah.
sometimes too, which I know everybody like likes to boost it, but I'm like, to those people, go fuck a goat. So what if deja vu is, it's not like it's happening right then? What if it's you really actually had a
Yeah, mhm,
premonition before,
sure.
but you don't remember it,
Mm,
but happened. So it's, oh, is this happening what I knew was gonna happen? And so you pick up on it. But you hear a song and then you hear the beat for the next,
Oh, sure, sure.
or have you ever been in the car and you start singing a song on the radio? It's not the song on the radio, but the next one that plays is the song that you're singing.
Oh, yeah, all the time. All the time.
Or yeah, or it's like somebody's calling, but your phone's not ringing, and then your phone rings and it's
Yeah.
exactly who you thought was calling.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's happened. Yeah, that's happened. Or I do it with TV shows where I'll be like, man, I haven't seen that episode of Frasier in a long
Yeah.
time. And then I'll turn on like YouTube. I have YouTube TV. I'll turn it on.
Yep.
And then, bam.
Yep.
There'll be, I'm like, that's a little strange, but okay, that whatever. I'm just
Exactly.
thinking about it. Who knows? I don't know.
But and I've had stuff where I am like whole ass in an environment going,
Mm,
wait, or I'll be driving. I'm like, whoa, slow down. And they're like, what? I'm like, just trust me, slow down. And then I was like, there's a deer. And they're like, what? I'm like, deer. And they're like, I don't see it. And then it runs in front of us. I was like, told you. I was like, I've
yeah.
done this before.
Wow.
I've been here before. I know what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. I think you need to seek out some mediums and get in like a medium school or something. I don't
I
know.
know. I wish
You
we
must have
could, but
something
my
like
problem
that.
is what's so funny is all these weird things have happened to me since I can
Yeah.
remember.
Uh-huh.
But I am also very skeptical. If somebody comes up and be like, I'm a psychic, I'm like,
Interesting.
you're full of shit, is what you are. Prove it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've literally
Yeah.
had people where I want to because I want so bad to find someone who's legit. So I can be like,
right.
please, God, help me.
Yeah.
Tell me what's wrong with me. How do I fix it? Was there
Yeah,
something
yeah.
I can do? Can I, whatever?
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
why is this happening to me? But
Yeah.
a lot of times too, a lot of people put a lot of meat behind, oh, I have the psychic bone. I'm like, if I said, I want to talk to psychics, I was like, I am totally for it. So if you guys are out there and you haven't, here's the thing. I am not going to believe anything that you say to me unless
Mhm.
you can tell me something that no one else knows anywhere.
Yeah.
If you can tell me that,
Yeah.
then we'll be good. And some people are like,
Okay.
I can't do that. I'm like, then I don't believe anything you're saying.
Mm. Interesting.
But I
Yeah,
also
sure.
understand that it doesn't work that way. I know that
Yeah,
it's
it
not
does.
like you shake sometimes, but it's not like you just shake a hand and you see this whole person's backstory. I know it doesn't work
Right.
that way. But
Yeah,
to me,
yeah, yeah.
if you're gifted in that way and you're meant to give me information, it will present itself to you.
Yeah. Sure.
If we're meant to have this conversation, if we're meant to be on that level, then
Sure.
there will be
Yeah.
something there.
Absolutely.
And usually, like, I can feel it too. Like, some people are like, oh, yeah, but I'm like, you do realize that I can walk in
Yeah.
a room and I can tell you if there's somebody in here who is not visible. I can do that. So if I
Yeah.
walk up to somebody and they're like, ooh, I'm psychic, or oh, I'm doing tarot cards or whatever, and I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
you're not doing anything because I can't,
Sure.
there's nothing there. I can't feel it. Now, when I went to Paracon, oh my goodness, I have her card somewhere. She was so amazing. And like I said, I've walked by tarot places. I've always wanted to get my cards read. I've wanted to do all this stuff, but I've never felt like anybody. You can't, there's a connection. There's something that calls out. I feel like anybody who does
Right.
anything in that factor, it's like we can identify each other.
Mhm.
I personally feel that way.
Yeah.
And I walked by booth to booth and I met this woman, not her booth. I met her. She was walking in with her stuff and I was walking to go look for something. And I just turned and something inside of me was like, I couldn't even control it. I just turned around and I was like, oh, hi. Like I just started talking to her and I was like, I have no idea where that came from, but my brain was like,
Mm.
reach out.
Sure.
Go talk. And we just talked for a quick minute and then we went about our business. And then I found out that she did cards and the first couple times I walked by and I was like, it was like literally like something was pulling me towards her booth.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, like whatever. And eventually I walked by and I was like, I can't fight this anymore. Cause I found myself, even though I would randomly walk around this giant facility, I kept ending up
Sure.
at her booth. And I'm like,
Huh.
something is telling
Yeah.
me to talk to her. And I went in there and it was like the moment I walked in, and then again, we're in this big open thing. She's just got this little like tent thing that they pop up. Everybody's got them. But it was like the moment I walked in, it was like our energies were so just meshed. I don't even know how to
Mm.
explain it. It was something I was comfortable.
Mhm.
It was like something
Yeah.
of me
Right.
knew that I needed to talk to something of her.
Sure. Yeah.
And we were talking, and she even, because I've had tarot cards and stuff like that, and I've shuffled them. Sometimes they're just a deck of cards, right? And if you don't do it right, you don't know
Yeah.
what you're doing. You don't have that gift and you're not sensitive in
Mhm.
any way. It's just a deck of
Sure.
cards. It's just like
Yeah,
you might
yeah.
as well play war with them. But she shuffled them and she's like, here, split it. And the moment I touched those, I knew. It was just like, it's something
Yeah.
about it. It was like, okay, like this is real.
Right.
You're real. This is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can feel something, which was
Okay.
interesting for me because normally when I get that, it's usually something that's, well, dead,
Mm,
virtually, something that's unalived.
yeah.
But to have somebody like there in the flesh, and we sat and talked for a long time. She was amazing. And it was just
Nice.
something about it. And I was like, I think I could just pick up on it. And everybody's out there. I'd like to know. So if you guys know, then hit us up, send us some stuff. But oh, wow, it's already been a while. So guess I should probably wrap this up. That means dinner time is probably coming in soon. And I am sweating a puddle in this chair right now. Everybody, again, this is John from Dairyland Frights Podcast. So again, John, thank you so much for being here. I know that I've
Oh,
been
thank you.
looking forward to this for the last couple weeks since we've had it booked. And
Yeah.
as soon as I found out,
Uh-huh.
like I said, things, when the universe speaks, listen,
Yeah.
because the episode that I listened to for you, it popped up on my feed and it was not the last episode you posted. When I heard the
Nice.
dreams thing, it was something that you had posted before and it just somehow
Nice.
ended up in my feed. And I was like, and I had my notes were open to the page. And it was like,
That's
I was like, okay, John's alive.
nice.
All right. So
Sweet.
again, everybody, check the description, look for his links, go follow, subscribe, do everything
Thank
you
you.
need to do. Show him some love. He's great. I love anything when we're all collaborating together. So
Yes.
again, I appreciate it. Is there anything that you want to throw out there before we wrap it up?
No, just really quickly, I have some upcoming episodes I'm really proud of that I have an author on who's going to talk about our pets. Can they become a ghost? And I've never really thought about that. I
I
thought
have
that
one.
was really aha,
I have a cat.
nice.
Yeah, you'll
Ye-
feel it. Like I'll be standing in the kitchen sometimes and it'll feel like when the cat rubs up against you and they like fling their tail and wrap it around your leg when they walk
Yeah,
by you. And I think it's one of my cats. And so I go to kick it out of the way or move it and there's nothing there. And I
yeah,
look down and they're nowhere
that's
near me.
awesome. Yeah, so I've never really thought about that at all. He's written books on the subject and stuff like that with all these other books. I'm really excited about talking to him. And then I have another gentleman who owns the Omen House, which is that is the one
I,
that was killed. Very nice gentleman is going to come on. And then I have some more alien abductees, which I love talking to because you just don't know. Like, is
that
it
is,
I don't wanna say it's bullshit, and I don't wanna say it's not.
I've just
I
talked
don't
to
know,
somebody about this
but
and
interesting.
I was telling them I thought it was very interesting because I said, out of all the stuff that I get, the hardest thing for me to wrap my mind around is alien abduction. And I've had a
Mhm, mhm.
situation where,
Sure.
and I still, even having that situation, I'm like,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that real? Was that a dream? What's happening?
I don't know. I don't
But
know.
yeah, so the guy, what is his name that owned the house? He's in
Uh,
our Studio Sinisters group too, and he's fantastic.
yeah, David
I only know him
can't
from
remember his
Studio
last name.
Sinister, so I only remember his face.
Yeah, yeah, but anyway,
But yeah, he's great.
yeah,
I'm excited about that one.
yeah, so he's gonna be on there and everything. Again, please follow all of us. We all want your love. Do what you can do.
Yeah.
Go to my Patreon. Hey, become a correspondent. It's only $3. Come on, you spend that on your freaking coffee in the morning. And that way, like I said, when Natasha and our episode comes up, you will see her smiling face and the spooky story that made me almost wet my pants. Maybe I did. I don't know. But
Just a
anyway,
piddle.
again, thank
Just a
you.
piddle.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Natasha. You always put out great stuff, and I'm so honored to be a guest on here. We talked about a lot of different stuff. Maybe Natasha and I will do a relationship podcast. Who
Oh,
knows?
I know, right? I decided I need to have a section just called Tosh Talk, where I just get on my soapbox and just bitch all the time because that's what I'm good at. No,
But
so
yeah, thank you so much.
I did want to go ahead and point something out too. I don't know if you know that we could do this now on Patreon. So I did mine. So now all of my tiers, there's a 7-day trial period.
Yes.
So they can get on it and try it out.
Yeah,
And then
check it out.
I added a factor in my tier. So if you're on the biggest tier, then it gives you the option where like you could be a guest on the show once per year
Oh,
and
nice.
schedule you in, and then you can be on an episode too. So
Love it.
I've tried to put as much out there as I can. Are you going to any conventions or anything out and about?
No, I'm not doing anything like that because most of them are over. I think there might be some coming up. I might go to. I'll definitely let you know. But like for October, I'm trying to get people together, different paranormal investigators. I already have someone, a medium set up. She is going to be at a haunted location and she's going to try to conjure a ghost live on my
Ooh.
feed. So that would be really interesting. And then also, I live near, which I'm going to try to do investigation because some of my paranormal friends have said, "Oh, why don't you try investigation by yourself?" I live near Frank Lloyd Wright's house, I should say mansion, where he was buried and everything. And there was a terrible murder there. Go look it up, where people were burned alive.
Yeah, it was
And
crazy.
I'm gonna go out there because, like I said, it's 2 miles away from my house. I'm gonna go there and try to do an investigation. And some of my paranormal investigators said they would try to help me, like how to do it correctly without having demons come back with me. And I said,
Huh,
that's a good thing. So
definitely.
I'm gonna try stuff like that. I'm trying to do something different and then work with people like Natasha, maybe over the Halloween scary season of maybe we could do some fun stuff, live stuff, whatever, be on their
Yep.
show, to be on my show, whatever, and try to get out there and put some nice fun material for all my spooky friends and your, I don't know what you call them.
I keep changing the name, and
Yeah,
I haven't landed on anything yet because
okay, all right.
we're just all messed up. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. So again, thank you so much. It's been an honor. And again, I love to have you back on the show. Love to be back on. Anything you need from me, totally there to support.
Awesome. Again, thank you guys. Thank you so much, John, for being here. And until next time, everybody, see ya.